and gentlemen, before the service starts, I just want to remind you to turn off your cell phones or put them on silent, please. Interment will take place in Beth Israel Memorial Gardens at Arborcrest Memorial Park Cemetery. The cemetery is located at 2521 Glazier Way. Beginning at 7 o'clock Tuesday evening, family and friends of Evelyn Neuhaus will gather at the Jewish Community Center, 2935 Birch Hollow Drive in Ann Arbor, for a short service and to share stories and memories. It is suggested that those who wish to further honor the memory of Evelyn Neuhaus may do so by making a contribution to the National Gaucher Foundation, the Ann Arbor Reconstructionist Congregation, to Beth Israel Congregation, or a charity of one's choice. All this information will be on our website, irakaufman.com.
Limnot Yameinu, Limnot Yameinu, Limnot Yameinu, Kein Hoda, Ben Avilevav Chochma, Limnot Yameinu, Kein Hoda, Ben Avilevav Chochma. Teach us to treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Oh, teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Oh, teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. We're gathered here today to honor the life of Evelyn Ruth Neuhaus and to accompany her. In Hebrew, the term for funeral is levaya, or in Yiddish, levaya. Its root has the meaning to accompany, join, or escort. It is said in Jewish tradition, to accompany a soul as they journey into the afterlife is the biggest act of kindness because the favor cannot be reciprocated. So we are here to accompany, not to be in attendance, not to witness, but to consciously participate with the intention of accompanying Evelyn, to be with her during this period of transition from material world into the afterlife. And as we do this, we honor her, remember her, and mourn her.
Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex and too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gifts of spirit our loved one gave us cannot be measured or weighed. nor can they be lost or even tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hours, we know that some of their light and some of their warmth will always be with us, bringing comfort and courage, and in the fullness of time, healing and peace. I'll share the words of Psalm 23. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsar binot desha yarbitzeni al mei menuchot yanahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begeit salmavet lo irara ki ata imadi shiftecha mishantecha hema yenachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neget sorerai dishantava shemen roshi kosir vaya. Achtov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai. V'shavti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamim. A psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you, O God, are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. It's my honor, a sad honor, needless to say, but my honor to be able to be here and to participate in this levaya, in this ceremony, honoring Evelyn and honoring her life. I want to extend condolences to Tammy and to Paula and to Tanya and to Naomi and to all of the many friends who are gathered here today. Evelyn loved this congregation as she loved so many institutions in this community. She was involved in so many institutions which were working for the good of the community here and beyond. And she loved this congregation, as I said, and she served as a board member. She also celebrated her adult bat mitzvah here in this sanctuary. So it meant a lot to her. And it meant a lot to me to know Evelyn, to learn from her, and to be with her on so many different occasions. I want to share one of those occasions with you right now, a memory of one of those which I think of every time I think of Evelyn. I know that she did not want her physical situation to define her. I know that. And I know that there were many emotions that were wrapped up in that. But Evelyn helped this congregation in so many ways, and one in particular. For many, many years, this congregation talked about making this bima accessible. And people who were in the leadership of the congregation, with good reason, said it can't happen. Architecturally, it can't happen. There's no room for it. It can't do it, whatever. And there were good reasons. But in the end, it was a group of people, I think inspired by Evelyn and Evelyn herself, who weren't going to accept that, to accept the fact that we would have a bima in this lovely synagogue, which meant so much to so many, which would be inaccessible. And the ramp was put in, and this table was put in, and this table which goes down, it can be elevated and can be lowered. And on the day that we dedicated that this table and that bima, it was on Shavuot, on the holiday of the giving of the Torah. We did it with a study session in the evening, and in the morning we celebrated the story of the giving of the Torah. And Evelyn was able to come up to the bima and have an aliyah and be able to kiss the Torah and touch the Torah and watch the Torah being read. And it wasn't just for her. Obviously, it was for any people for whom that was an issue. But it was her inspiration. And it's her that I always think about when I think about how long it took to have that ramp be built, and really the inspiration that she gave us, and the insistence in nice ways and in forceful ways. And that's the important thing, that in fact we reached that point. So her memory will always be for a blessing in the sanctuary.
Evelyn Ruth Neuhaus was born on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1949, in New York City, to Hugo and Jean Neuhaus. Her parents both escaped Nazi Germany. Her father to Swaziland, which is now Eswatini, with 4 of his 5 siblings. Hugo's sister, Ruth, did not make it out of Germany, so to honor her memory, Evelyn was given the middle name Ruth. Evelyn's mother also escaped Nazi Germany, first to Paris, then to Portugal, and eventually to the US. Evelyn's parents met and married in New York City after the war. Evelyn's mother had Gaucher disease and died unexpectedly when Evelyn was only 7 years old from complications due to surgery. And unfortunately, Evelyn was not supported in her young grieving life, which created a source of pain for many years afterwards. When Evelyn was 9, her father remarried, and 2 years later, Hugo and his new wife, Ilsa, had a daughter, Tammy, and Evelyn had a sister. Evelyn graduated from the prestigious Bronx High School of Science, and at the age of 16, went on to major in genetics at Cornell. And in 1970, she continued her studies at U of M, where she earned 2 master's degrees, a master's of public health, and later an MBA while working full-time. Taking 1 course a year, I was told. Although Evelyn was diagnosed with Gaucher's at a young age, she only discovered that fact as a college student when she was seeking medical attention at Cornell and was told that Gaucher's was notated in her medical records. When she moved to Ann Arbor, she had a lot of accidents due to this disease and would end up in the hospital, and then upon the advice of her doctors, she started using a wheelchair early on. In her professional life, Evelyn worked in administration at both the U of M Hospital and St. Joe's. She also volunteered her services generously. She became involved with the New Jewish Agenda in the 1980s and helped plan their national convention in 1985. She helped create U of M's Raoul Wallenberg's Medal and Lecture, which honors contemporary heroes working in the spirit of Wallenberg, who saved thousands of Jews during the Holocaust. Evelyn was a board member of the Center for Independent Living and of Minerva Projects, a nonprofit set up to raise funds for educational and artistic projects, including Lori White's documentary, Refusing to Be Enemies, The Zaytuna Story, for which Evelyn received one of the co-producing credits. Evelyn's involvement in that documentary propelled her to embark on her own documentary projects. For several years, she volunteered at Community Television Network, where she learned interviewing and production techniques. After retirement, she took filmmaking classes at Washtenaw Community College, and at 62 years old, she produced the documentary Never a Bystander, featuring retired U of M professor Irene Butter, who, as a young girl, survived the horrors of Bergen-Belsen. Evelyn met Butter 40 years earlier when Butter was a U of M professor of public health and Evelyn was a graduate student. In a 2012 interview of Evelyn in the Ann Arbor Observer, she noted that the process of making Never a Bystander inspired her to model herself after Irene Butter, to choose to be a survivor instead of a victim, and to live life in an open-hearted way. And we'll see that she played this out throughout her whole life. The film, Never a Bystander, was premiered at the Michigan Theater as part of the Jewish Film Festival in 2014 and was runner-up for the Special Jury Award at the 2015 San Diego Film Festival. Evelyn participated in other film projects and used her documentary skills to interview attendees at the New Jewish Agenda reunion in Ann Arbor in 2016, and was also one of the organizers of that event. During that visit, toward the end of Evelyn's life, there's so many things that she did. So many things that she did. Toward the end of her father's life, Evelyn and her father visited her sister Tammy in San Diego. And during that visit, Evelyn interviewed her father about his life, and the video remains a treasure for Tammy and her family. Evelyn was also, as Rabbi Doberson said, an active participant in synagogue life in Ann Arbor. She was a member of Beth Israel and served on its board, and we heard about the adult bat mitzvah. And Evelyn was also an earlier member of the Reconstructionist Chavurah, now the Ann Arbor Reconstructionist Congregation, and served on its board as treasurer, and chanted Torah at their High Holy Days services each year. She also sang in the Temple Beth Emeth choir, so she participated in everything. Evelyn was a meditator and a spiritual seeker. She was part of the Insight meditation community in Ann Arbor and did a number of silent retreats with esteemed Buddhist practitioner Sylvia Boorstein, and was mentored by Rabbi Jeff Roth, the creator of the Awakened Heart Project. For years, she meditated daily and participated in a weekly morning meditation sit. Except for a few years in the 1980s when she was married to John Kruger, Evelyn lived on her own and was fiercely independent. She used a non-motorized wheelchair and drove her own car. Her physical condition did not deter her from traveling. She traveled on her own to participate in NIH drug trials in Washington, to retreats to California and to Switzerland to visit her sister Tammy, to visit friends, and to see Broadway shows. Until Gaucher's made it impossible, she swam regularly at North Campus Rec Center. And although she lived most of her life in Michigan, she considered herself a New Yorker through and through and had the New York Times delivered and read it every day. Evelyn was always stretching herself to experience new things and live life fully. Evelyn loved movies, mystery novels, TV shows, especially Star Trek, and music. She loved Stephen Sondheim's music most of all, and had a phenomenal memory for lyrics and could sing almost any Broadway tune. Evelyn was a warm host and made sure to celebrate her birthday with friends, and on milestone birthdays, she had catered events. Evelyn's physical struggles did not take away from her living a full life. She was honest and could be sharp-tongued. She was an advocate for social justice and passionate in her personal, professional, artistic, communal, and religious life. She loved and was loved and admired by many. When her friend Steve Merritt was with Evelyn in town, he would marvel at how many people would stop by to talk to her. She knew so many people and had a wide network of friends and acquaintances. Even in her later years, she was visited regularly by friends known as FOE, Friends of Evelyn. And Evelyn was unusually skilled at maintaining long-term relationships. Many people here have known her for 40 years. Her caregiver and friend Mandy Phillips was a solid presence in Evelyn's life for 20 years, which says a lot as well. Mandy was devoted to Evelyn and helped her with every domestic move, with taxes, advocating for her, scheduling medical appointments, and sharing that schedule with Evelyn's friends so that they could pay her regular visits. Mandy and Evelyn's relationship was not just a professional one. It was a deep friendship in which Mandy was immersed in Evelyn's greater circle of friends, in which Evelyn shared with Mandy even her connection to Judaism. They could be honest and straightforward with one another, and Mandy was loyal and true and not deterred by Evelyn's feistiness and irritability. Evelyn's dear friend Audrey Newell made sure to tell Mandy that she believed Evelyn lived longer and enjoyed her life more fully because of Mandy. And Mandy's life was made richer by knowing Evelyn, as is the case with all of us here. Mandy has been inspired by Evelyn's grit and strong will and tries to apply that to her own life in times of hardship. As characterized by Evelyn's other relationships, there was giving and receiving. Evelyn knew how to love, and though not so easy for her, she allowed herself to receive the love and care she needed to not let her physical disability hold her back from living a full life. Evelyn is survived by sister Tammy and her wife Paula and children Tanya and Naomi Kim. We offer you condolences, and may her memory, Evelyn's memory, be for a blessing. And on a personal note, I felt fortunate to get to know Evelyn in the past year or so as rabbi of the Ann Arbor Reconstructionist community. We talked tachlis always, no social chit-chat, about what was important to her, about her struggles, about God, about Jewish perspectives on the afterlife, and music. We sang and meditated together, and we also, I have to say, had a few good laughs together as well. And so I'm grateful for every moment I spent with her. So now for you, dear Evelyn, in honor of your love for Sondheim, I'm going to share I Remember with you. I remember sky, it was blue as ink, or at least I think. I remember sky, I remember snow, soft as feathers, sharp as thumbtacks, coming down like lint, and it made you squint when the wind would blow, and ice like vinyl on the streets, cold as silver, white as sheets, rain like strings, and changing things like leaves. I remember leaves, green as spearmint, crisp as paper. I remember trees, bare as coat racks, spread like broken umbrellas, and parks and bridges, ponds and zoos, ruddy faces, muddy shoes, light and noise and bees and boys and days. I remember days, or at least I try. But as years go by, they're a sort of haze, and the bluest ink isn't really sky. And at times I think I would gladly die for a day of sky. We now invite Tammy Neuhaus to share a few words about her sister Evelyn, followed by Claudia Kraus-Piper and Rebecca Canner.
Growing up, even though we only shared our father, and I was reminded numerous times that Evelyn was my quote-unquote half-sister, I always thought of her as my full sibling. As many of you know, Evelyn was 11 years older than I. One of the childhood memories I have of her when she took me to the Natural History Museum in New York. At the time, she was in college and I was in elementary school. Evelyn pointed out many interesting things in the museum, and I was so impressed by the breadth and depth of her knowledge and her keen intellect. When I was in college, I remember visiting Evelyn in Ann Arbor. That's when I started getting to know her better. I feel that both of us were motivated to develop a stronger relationship for several reasons. One was to counteract the unfortunately poor relationship our dad and my mom had. And one was because we felt that we had such a small family, so it meant a lot to have each other. In actuality, our family wasn't so small. Growing up, our dad was one of 5 siblings, and as also alluded to by Rav Gabriel, because of Hitler, he and his family immigrated to the region of South Africa. The plan was for all of them to go on to the U.S., but due to unfortunate circumstances, only our dad came. Eventually, some more of the family did come to the States, but they settled in Southern California. When Evelyn was 7 years old, her mom died unexpectedly. She was at the young age of 36. Her death was due to complications during surgery and was attributed to her having Gaucher's. Despite that tragic event, and despite, or maybe because, Evelyn had Gaucher herself, she was determined to have a full life. Every decade of her life, she threw a big gathering of family and friends to celebrate another milestone reached. Yes, she had physical challenges, yet it did not impede her from accomplishing so much. I was impressed by her determination and her independent spirit. Today, I'm here with my wife and my 2 daughters to honor my sister. And as I look out into the audience, I also see a large, caring community of friends here to honor her as well. Over the years, I have met and gotten to know some of you. Yet I didn't have an inkling of just how many of you there are and how much Evelyn meant to you. I am deeply touched by the outpouring of feelings and sense of loss that we all share, and thank you for being part of this remembrance with me.
I'm going to read something that was shared with the faux group and a few others last week from a different part of Evelyn's life that many of us did not know. And this is from her friend Beth Morrow in New Jersey. So Beth writes, "When I transferred to Ann Arbor in January of 1975, I moved to a beautiful house in Burns Park shared by 6 people. Evelyn was friends with one of the house members, so I knew her peripherally. I didn't know much about her except that on several occasions she would break a bone or her hip and end up in the hospital in traction for extended periods of time. I visited her there, but maybe once, and her leg would be casted and elevated for maybe 4 or more weeks. She lived in a walk-up at the time, and when she was released, she could walk with a crutch. Then, inevitably, she would fracture her arm or leg again and return to the hospital. This was the result of Gaucher's, and she was discovering the effects of her genetic disease. She decided she had to stop this cycle and use a wheelchair. She moved to a low-rise building with an elevator, but the elevator regularly broke down
and that's when she moved to an apartment below me in a small Cape Cod house. A ramp was built, and we became fast friends, sharing many dinners, outings, and my cat. And for those of you who know, Evelyn was a cat person. Evelyn was discovering the difficulties of getting around in a supposedly handicap-friendly city, and I shared that journey with her. She got involved with the Center for Independent Living and became a board member. Also at that time, she started taking business school classes, one class each semester at night while working full-time. Often the classroom was not accessible, and she had to advocate for herself endlessly to demand that the class be in a building with an elevator and that the doors be opened at night. She found the car wheelchair roof carrier that I'm certain you're all familiar with. We all knew where Evelyn was all the time because we could see, oh, there's Evelyn going. She went to work, school, meetings, and to swim. She could pack a lot in a day. Within 2 years, she bought a house, and we had to separate. The first summer, I was able to house sit next door, and we maintained the same close contact as before. When she moved, she engaged the help of our friend Anne, who shopped and cleaned for her. Steve Heichel, who was on a call with some of us last week, was always fixing the chair carrier and made her house wheelchair friendly. And if you were ever in that house, he made the kitchen, he changed the kitchen so that she could cook, and it was really wonderful. Ernie filled her gas tank. The neighbors would shovel snow so she could drive out, but that became unreliable, so Steve built a covered ramp. She always had wonderful people around her who loved to help, because Evelyn was an interesting person with a hearty laugh. It was never charity, as she would sometimes claim. She loved movies, musicals, especially Sondheim, the New York Times, TV shows, especially Star Trek, MASH, and Mary Tyler Moore. She loved coffee and chocolate. She opened my eyes to the cruel and frustrating world of the disabled. She made sure people addressed her directly, not her companion. Evelyn was stubbornly independent and didn't want help with the chair unless she asked. She traveled alone to participate in NIH drug trials in Washington, to retreats at Santa Sabina in San Rafael in California, and the Hudson Valley, to California to visit Tammy, to New Jersey to visit me, Beth, and Broadway, to name a few. Yes, she was anxious and angry, but that didn't stop her. It propelled her to follow her dreams of making a movie, singing in a choir, celebrating herself with large milestone birthday parties. She even danced in her chair at the last party I attended and sang Sondheim. Evelyn was always stretching herself to learn and experience new things. She embraced her Jewish background and grew spiritually after I left Ann Arbor. Because I don't know Sondheim lyrics, I'd like to end by quoting, not singing a lyric from Wicked. And this is that. So if you care to find me, look to the western sky. As someone told me lately, everyone deserves the chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. To those who ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them how I am defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity, and soon I'll match them in renown. And nobody in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was, is ever going to bring me down.
Evelyn loved Marge Piercy. She loved her poems, her poetry, and she loved her novels. I and several others in this room were part of an alternative prayer group, Shabbos Circle. We prayed right downstairs in the youth library. And when Evelyn led services, we always included Marge Piercy poems. I'm going to share March Piercy's Kaddish. Look around us, search above us, below, behind. We stand in a great web of being joined together. Let us praise, let us love the life we are lent, passing through us in the body of Israel and our own bodies. Let's say amen. Time flows through us like water. The past and the dead speak through us. We breathe out our children's children, blessing. Blessed is the earth from which we grow. Blessed the life we are lent. Blessed the ones who teach us. Blessed the ones we teach. Blessed is the word that cannot say the glory that shines through us and remains the shine, flowing past distant suns on the way to forever. Let's say amen. Blessed is the light, blessed is the darkness, but blessed above all else is peace, which bears the fruits of knowledge on strong branches. Let's say amen. Bless peace that bears joy into the world, peace that enables love, peace over Israel everywhere. Blessed and holy is peace. Let's say amen.
שכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה. קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, את נשמת רות בת חיים וחנה לא רע, שהלכה לעולמה, אנר על הרחמים, הסתירה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על המשכבה. ונאמר אמן.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that we will not be traveling in procession to the cemetery. Once the casket leaves the sanctuary, we would ask that you go directly to your cars, drive on your own to the cemetery for the interment service. we will allow ample time before starting the service. At this time, I'd like to ask for the pallbearers.